This presentation is about the energy consumption in Europe and what can be done to address the issues associated with high energy consumption. Over the last 2 decades, the consumption of global energy has grown by 1/3. In the European Union, there is a struggle to keep up with the supply. Energy is of great concern to the future well-being of Europe, as the European struggles to become independent from the oil industry. Advanced measures are taken to achieve these steps. Conserving energies in the homes and workplaces throughout parts of the European Union have been a great step forward so far. However, each house will now be required to go through energy audits. With energy efficiency comes new responsibility. A strong reason for this movement has, of course, been energy, but health is also of big concern, as the World Health Organization has kept their eyes open for the negative effects of CO2 emissions. As you can see here on the chart, fossil fuels take up by far the most amount of emissions caused. Renewable energy has definitely been the proposed solution to counteract this negative effect of CO2 and fossil fuel burning. The International Organization for Standardization, also known as ISO, has released a new collection of standards implemented throughout the European Union, which involve new management practices for all city structures, adopting new protocol to adopt and report improvements. These improvements can be monitored by conformed auditing programs. By the year 2020, the European Union plans to have cut its energy consumption by 20%. This plan includes increasing the shift of renewable energy from the burning of fossil fuels. This alternative includes various biofuels such as ethanol and methanol, as well as mechanical means which include wind, solar, hydro, and geothermal energy. Renewable energy deals with the adoption of alternative chemical and mechanical processes and procedures that can be implemented to benefit increased energy efficiency. Slowly, the dependency for oil in the European Union is lowering. In 2013, consumption throughout the European Union was measured at 600 million gallons. This is a 12% decrease from 1990. However, this change is said to have a lot to do with the declining economy. The gross consumption of oil and renewable energy in the European Union varies depending on its natural resources and its economic strength. On the contrary, consumption of renewable energy sources reached a 25% increase in usage during the 25-year frame. This renewable energy has evaluated to 1/4 of the overall energy in Finland and 1/3 of the overall source of energy in Sweden. These are both substantial benchmarks and ideal goals for the rest of the European Union to shoot for. When analyzing energy usage throughout the European Union, the aspects looked at are the transportation sectors, residential and industrial zones. These three aspects represent over 80% of the source of energy usage in the European Union. Analysis was conducted in 2013 that showed 350 million tons of energy was used within a single year. This was a 10% decrease from the usage in 2005. In other words, a 2 million ton difference within that time frame. A possible cause of this shift has been the decline in economic status in the European Union, though each nation's transportation totals and their types vary tremendously. Gross consumption represents the quantity of energy necessary to satisfy a nation's energy demand. It is highly influenced by a particular nation's specific landscape in regard to some of these renewable energy sources. The influence to decrease the dependency of energy in the European Union originated from the difficulties that arose from the supply of energy so far with outside sources. Nations have been victim to price manipulation of oil, therefore greatly impacting these nations' economic status. To rectify this, the European Union pushed for improving energy efficiency, and it's becoming more and more emphasized every year. Their goal to become free of the need of external energy sources and focus on building its economies internally by decreasing its consumption of energy over the next decade. The European Union can trump energy costs and resolve issues with pollution by doing so. Since 2003, the amount of renewable energy produced has increased 6%. And in 2013, it was measured that 200 million tons of oil was produced. This amount covered over 25% of the Union's total energy manufacturing for all other sources of energy. Among producible renewable energies, a dominating source of benefit was renewable waste or biomass. This covered 66% of renewables produced. Other alternative sources included hydropower, which accounted for 15%, solar power accounted for 10%, and geothermal powers accounted for 5%. Another successful renewable energy source unique to coastal regions of the European Union are ocean energies such as tidal and wave powers. In the European Union, these are exclusive only to the United Kingdom and France. There is much diversity of types of renewable energy sources, mainly depending on geographic conditions. For instance, over 60% of renewable energy produced in Cyprus and Malta was gathered from solar power. Nearly 80% of renewable energy in Norway, however, was generated from hydropower, where there are many mountains, and also 20% of energy from geothermal power in Italy, where there are many volcanoes. And finally, over 50% of renewable energy in Ireland was wind-powered. Important to note, Germany was the #1 manufacturer in renewable energies, accounting for a total of 18% of total production within the European Union. And Italy was not far behind, accounting for 13%. France accounted for 12% and Sweden for 9%. The usage of renewable fuels in Norway accounted for 37%. The consumption of renewable energies throughout the European Union accounted for 15% of overall gross consumption globally for the year 2015. And the European Union hopes to push ahead another 20% by the year 2020. Over the last 10 years, the amount of electricity harnessed by wind power has increased by a shocking 500%, and the overall sharing of wind-powered electricity increased by 30%. Even more impressive was the growth in contribution of solar power electricity. In 2005, measured to contribute 1.0 terawatts on average, and today it is measured at 85 terawatts. This is an extraordinary turnaround and has played as an ideal model for the rest of the European Union. The European Energy Commission's directive has a goal proclaiming that by the year 2020, renewable energy and biofuels will account for a minimum of 10% of all transportation fuels demanded. Some European nations are well over this minimum already. For instance, Sweden has achieved 18%. However, other nations such as Spain and Portugal have as low as 1%. Currently, the amount of renewable energy used on average in the transportation sector of Europe is just over 6%, so reaching another 4% over the next 5 years should be expected. Current disbursement of renewable energy is measured by electricity produced compared to a country's overall consumption. Currently, renewable energy only takes up to 20% of the energy market. However, the European Energy Commission expects to see another 20% increase by the year 2030. This will consequently result in a 20% decrease in harmful greenhouse gas emissions, as biofuels are now twice as clean as current petroleum-based fuel products. The amount of renewable energy in Europe is already impressive. However, it is continuously improving. There are many forms of renewable energy. One becoming much more approved recently has been solar power. Solar power plants such as photovoltaic plants continuing to gain popularity in Scandinavian regions where consumers seek to become more self-sustaining. Solar power, like other renewable energy fuels and systems, will progressively adjust in popularity as energy markets advance. Just as the computer and the internet in the 90s, solar power has started out small but has gradually progressed and expected to be installed on the rooftops of buildings all across Europe, definitely by the year 2050. To understand the success of a new technology, it is important to look at the demographics of those who accepted it and those who rejected it. In regard to solar power, it has been well accepted in wealthy regions of Scandinavia. However, in less wealthy nations such as Greece, the solar systems tend to have been rejected because energy markets in these poorer regions cannot currently support the installation and maintenance associated with solar power regularly. A study on the energy market was conducted that sampled all regions of Europe and defined each region as either high-tech or low-tech. These regions, dubbed as high-tech, were found to be wealthy nations that were also more green-conscious. However, the low-tech nations seem to be less wealthy and less green-conscious. Though it is hard to estimate acceptance of new renewable energy per region, the study shows that wealth is highly correlated with technology. Normally, investment choices are solely dependent upon profit margins and seek all investment with potential return. This has most certainly been true for the energy industry in Europe. Many of these companies are outsourced, thus not beneficial to the European Union's economy overall. Subsequently, these external companies have been known to manipulate and exploit the cost of oil, natural gas, and coal. This makes it quite difficult for particular member states to afford effective energy-efficient investments. Appropriate management is critical in the administration of energy programs. An administration's overall strategy is also said to be a determining factor in investment practices, which can be broken down into two forms of characteristics. These include analysis-driven and content-driven. These help in deciding a company's external investment strategy through networking. Member states have the ability to aid the process of development by providing cities with more specific building codes and tax legislation that cater to particular states' pertaining regions. A particular government mandate called the European Union Action Plan on Energy Efficiency prompted the European Energy Commission to develop a guideline for buildings to potentially attain a near-zero energy consumption level. Already implemented, it is hoped to be deployed by the year 2020. On a world scale, fossil fuels dominate over 75% of energy resources, thus the European Union has great opportunity to be an excellent role model for the rest of the world. The European Union is basically on its last resort as an attempt to address energy consumption. Therefore, I believe we will see their goals through successfully. And by that time, hopefully, other nations will have joined the European Union's movement in incorporating renewable energy usage at high yields as well.